You know, in politics, you think you have a handle on how things are. You think some things are just set in stone. Well, for decades, Japan's political landscape felt exactly like that. But then, in just a few days, a massive political shockwave, kicked off by its new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, completely redrew the map of power. So let's break down how this one decision truly changed everything.
26 years. I want you to just think about that number for a second. For over a quarter of a century, that wasn't just a number in Japanese politics. It was a symbol of incredible stability. That is how long the country's ruling coalition had been in place. A political rock in a world that's always changing.
And right at the heart of all that stability was this political marriage. On one side, you have the Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP. They're the conservative juggernaut, the dominant force in Japanese politics for ages. And on the other side, their absolutely essential partner, Komeito, a more moderate party that actually has its roots in a Buddhist movement. For 26 years, these two kept a very delicate balance of power. But, as we're about to see, that balance was about to get completely shattered. And just like that, it was. On October 10th, 2025, and get this, just a few days after Sanae Takaichi took over the LDP, that historic alliance just imploded. The 26-year partnership was over, and Japan's political world was suddenly thrown into absolute chaos.
So you have to be asking, how on earth does an alliance that's been around for 26 years just crumble to dust in a matter of days? Well, the story unfolds with incredible speed.
I mean, the speed of this collapse is just astonishing. Look at this timeline. October 4th, Takaichi wins the top job in the LDP. Great. But less than a week later, on October 10th, bam, her longtime coalition partners, Komeito, just walk out. This immediately triggers a high-stakes, nail-biting showdown for the prime ministerial vote on October 21st. It really was a political whirlwind.
So, with Komeito gone, Takaichi wasn't just dealing with a political headache. No. Her entire career was suddenly on the line before she even really got started.
The pressure on her was just immense. And you know what? She knew it. She said it herself with this remarkable honesty just days after the split. She totally understood that her huge victory as party president could, in a flash, become a historic failure if she couldn't somehow wrangle the votes to actually become prime minister. And this was the question hanging over everyone in Nagatacho, Japan's political center. Was this it? Could an LDP leader, for the third time in history, win the top job in their own party, only to fail to win the top job in the country? And look, this wasn't just some hypothetical fear. It had happened before. Two previous LDP presidents, Yohei Kono and Sadakazu Tanigaki, are members of this very unenviable club. Leaders who got the party's top job, but never the nation's. Takaichi was staring down the very real possibility of becoming the third member. But then, just when things looked their absolute darkest, the chaos itself created a surprising and frankly a game-changing opportunity. Out of the blue, another political party saw an opening. The Nippon Ishin party, which is this rising conservative power, looked at the LDP's crisis not as a disaster, but as a golden opportunity. They stepped up and said, hey, we might be open to forming a new coalition. Now, they weren't just going to do this for free. They had conditions, and their key demand was a huge policy shift, scrapping restrictions on exporting defense equipment. Now, this is the whole ballgame right here. This was a proposal that the LDP's old moderate partner, Komeito, would have almost certainly vetoed. So Takaichi's moment of peril was suddenly turning into a moment of unbelievable freedom. And this new partnership, it didn't just tweak things. It fundamentally rewrote the rules of the game, giving Takaichi a level of power and policy freedom she could have only dreamed of in the old coalition. Okay, so to really get this, you have to understand the role Komeito played for all those years. Think of them as the brake on the coalition car. They were the moderating force that consistently tapped the brakes and kept the LDP's more aggressive conservative instincts in check, especially when it came to national security. But now, with Komeito gone and the more conservative Ishin party, and that brake was suddenly and very decisively off. The main thing holding back the LDP's conservative agenda was just removed from the equation. This created a fundamentally new reality in Japanese politics. I mean, look at the difference. Under the old system, security policy was a constant negotiation, always limited by that moderating partner. Now, in this new coalition,
Prime Minister Takaichi suddenly has the freedom to go after conservative goals that have been sitting on a shelf for years. This is a massive shift in Japanese security policy.
Which brings us to the central mystery in this whole thing. We get what Takaichi and the LDP gained from this deal, but the real head-scratcher is Komeito. Why on earth did they make this decision?
I mean, the trade-off here is just baffling. In one move, they gave up a powerful cabinet position, they tossed away opportunities for their younger members, and they completely abandoned their influential role as the policy brake. And for what? What did they gain? Maybe a chance to rediscover their roots as a party of peace? It was a huge political gamble with a reward that is, to put it mildly, very unclear.
And adding one last layer of irony to this whole story are these parting words from Prime Minister Takaichi. She thanked Komeito for sharing hardships with her party for 26 years, which is a polite, almost sweet farewell, considering that their decision to leave is exactly what handed her a massive political victory. And that leads us to the final, powerful question that this whole affair leaves hanging in the air. If Komeito was willing to just walk away from it all, right at the moment a new prime minister took charge, then what exactly were those 26 years of hardship for? What was the ultimate cost of that partnership? That's the question now echoing all through Japan's political world.